No Man's Sky Beyond. What's up, my dudes? So, we got us a new update going to be coming out for No Man's Sky. I wanted to come in here and kind of talk about it a little bit. I think it's definitely very interesting on what it could turn out to be. So, basically, they have came out with a little bit of a trailer, I guess you could say, for it, but don't get too hyped up, right? Don't pep your titties up too much. It's not even really a trailer. Like, it's just a little short, couple second video just kind of showing the No Man's Sky Beyond thing come up on the screen and telling us that it's going to be coming out in summer of 2019. So it's not even really a trailer. It's just kind of a hype you up kind of video type thing. So with No Man's Sky Beyond, it's very interesting because basically, you guys know No Man's Sky used to come out with their updates every, I don't know, it was like every 4 months or so, right? It was like kind of few and far between. It would take them quite a while to get every individual update out. But then they started doing them a little bit quicker after No Man's Sky Next, right? They came out with The Abyss and, damn, what was that other? There's been so many updates at this point. It's just hard to remember every single one of them that they've had. Let's see, it was Visions, I think, right? And The Abyss. Those were both updates that happened pretty quick after one another, okay? But with this No Man's Sky Beyond, this seems to be like they're going back more towards sort of how it was beforehand, where they had, a bit longer amounts of time between the updates. So that's just what it seems like to me. It seems like they're going back more towards that, where it's like, quite the massive amount of time. I say massive amount of time, I just mean more like, you're not going to get like quick updates every month. It's going to be like an update every 3 or 4 months at this point now. So with No Man's Sky Beyond, it's going to be coming out summer 2019. That could be June, that could be August, plethora of different months, what you call, summertime. But basically, all I'm saying is it's probably going to have more of a pack-a-punch type of stuff to it, and not just like a quick little update that doesn't have a whole lot in it. It's probably going to be a bit bigger of an update. It's going to be a bit more kind of how Next was for No Man's Sky. A lot of really big changes to it, and I think that's how Beyond is going to be as well. It's just going to be a lot of big changes. So they did actually post something on their website about it, right, that you can go look at. And it does explain a little bit more on what the update is going to be. Not like a whole lot more, but it definitely does explain a little bit. So I'll go through and kind of just read a little bit on it, just touch up a little bit on it, just kind of explain a couple of things, and we'll go through there and talk about kind of what they say on it. So basically, let me just kind of read a little bit of it to you. Hello, everyone. We know that there is a lot of hunger out there for news and updates on No Man's Sky. We wanted to share some information from behind the scenes. Our next chapter will be called No Man's Sky Beyond, coming summer 2019. You guys know that. Whoa. Ground be shaking, dog. Ground be shaking. Felt like I had some big animal around me somewhere. Some big creature. So basically it says, earlier this year, while working on a roadmap of 3 future updates, we decided we wanted to interweave their features and had vision for something much more impactful. We are excited to announce that Beyond will contain those 3 major updates rolled into one larger free release. So, I guess all of the, like, Foundation, Next, all those updates are going to be with Beyond. I don't really know how that works exactly, but apparently all the updates are going to be in it. So, yeah, okay, this is where it gets interesting, right? And you guys know all of the No Man's Sky updates have been completely free so far. All the DLC, every bit of it has been totally free, right? They don't have any sort of microtransactions, anything like that. All your big updates have been free, which, good on you, Hello Games. Good on you, bro. Because if you didn't do that, your game would have already died at this point. If you would have made all of your big updates actually where you had to pay for them, it wouldn't have lasted any time anyways, right? So it's just awesome to see that Hello Games has that mindset and that understanding of the gamer to realize, like, dude, we got to come out with these updates for free so everyone gets them, so you don't split the community apart. everybody gets them. You get them for free, and we're putting in things that we said was going to be in the game originally, so it's not even really like we're giving you, like, even though there are some things that are brand new, it's a lot of it is just, hey, guys, we're giving you what we said was going to be in the game and wasn't in the game at the beginning, that kind of thing. But it's just, it's monumental for Hello Games to continue to update their game for free, because at this point it's like this is basically the No Man's Sky, and when Beyond comes out, that's going to be the No Man's Sky, because all the updates have been for free, so you get every bit of it. Everybody gets it. All you got to do is buy the base version of the game, and that's going to help them so much in the longevity aspect of it, and just being able to make their game last longer. That's going to be so big for them. And like I said, it's monumental for them because, especially in this day and age where you guys know most of these game companies, every single little thing is a microtransaction, as I lost traction on that hillside. Everything's a microtransaction now. They try to, bang every single little penny out of you, and then it ends up killing their game in the long run. 99% of those microtransaction, money-hungry, greedy games, they die because of it. That, like, literally, they will die because of it. I mean, there are so many awesome games out there that were really cool at the beginning, but then they just start trying to make too many, spreadsheet money decisions in the long run, and then it just splits the community, makes it to where, not everybody's going to have this certain DLC, and then it just ends up to where it just kills them in the long run anyways. So, it is a massive advantage for Hello Games to be releasing all their stuff for free like this. Okay, so now this is the big aspect to No Man's Sky Beyond, right? So they say on their website, the first component of Beyond we are announcing today is No Man's Sky Online, which you guys know they had basically their first true multiplayer mode. I guess it was like back in maybe Atlas Rises. But the thing about it was all you could really see was like little spirits of where people are. That's pretty much all it was. You weren't really actually seeing the player. And then with Next, they evolved it even more to where you could actually see the players. You could play with the players. You could build bases with the players. But the problem with that was it was only like a little group of, kind of like 4 people or whatever it was that you could play with at one time or even see at one time. You couldn't even see any more than that. It wasn't like a full scale, see 100 people over here and 100 people over there, and it wasn't like that with Next. Even though there was multiplayer, it was kind of almost like a cut off kind of very like, it kind of throws you into your own small little server, and then you're not really seeing what's going on around you. So basically with this whole No Man's Sky Online thing with Beyond, I feel like they're just pushing that whole No Man's Sky multiplayer, true multiplayer thing even further at this point, all right? So that seems to be the main focus with Beyond. That seems to be like what it's all based around. So they continue to say, No Man's Sky Online includes a radical new social and multiplayer experience which empowers players everywhere in the universe to meet and play together. So let's just, pick apart these words here real quick. They say, radical new. Okay, so it's going to be totally different than the way Next is, apparently by the way they're wording it, which empowers players everywhere in the universe to meet and play together. Now, I know we got to be careful here. Knowing Hello Games, got to be a little careful because they like to spice things up and hype things up to a level that are just, astronomical. So I don't know exactly what that means, but if you really look at the words of that, which empowers players everywhere in the universe to meet and play together. So it's acting like everybody in the universe can meet and play together regardless. So I don't know what the restrictions of that are going to be, but that's going to make all the difference in the world is like, what are the restrictions to that? Can 1,000 people get on one planet, or can we fight in space with 1,000 other freighters? Like, there's got to be some kind of limit to it. I think they can get it to a cool point though, where they can almost make it where it has a limit, but it doesn't really feel, it almost seems seamless. It doesn't really feel like it has a limit, even though it does have a limit. Does that make any sense to you? Like, I think they can get it to that point at some point with it and make it pretty cool. But that's just my own personal, I think they could do that in the future at some point. So either way, let me continue to read here. But I just thought it was interesting that they say players everywhere in the universe. Like, that's pretty insane. So it says, While this brings people together like never before and has many recognizable online elements, we don't consider No Man's Sky to be an MMO, which they've said from the jump. They've said that from the very beginning. This is not an MMO. It's not an MMO. This is not an MMO, which I never expected it to be, never thought it would be, right? But they're going on there to say that. But it says it won't require a subscription, won't contain microtransactions, and will be free for all existing players. So, cool. No microtransactions, no bullshit, no separating community, none of that weird stuff going on. So they got all that going for them. But it's kind of crazy how they're acting like it's like, they're saying no subscription required. So it's like this bigger multiplayer thing in some kind of way. I don't really know all the little fine details of it, but it's going to be, by the way they're talking about it, it's going to be big. They're like, they went through the trouble of saying, hey guys, just letting you know it's not going to be a subscription, almost like it, even though there already is multiplayer in No Man's Sky, they're acting like it is going to be a massive, some sort of massive community multiplayer aspect to the game of some kind. I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but that's basically what they say. They say these changes are an answer to how we have seen people playing since the release of Next, and it is something we have dreamed of for a long time. Therefore, even going further into that, full-blown multiplayer that we all have expected in No Man's Sky. You know what I'm saying? Where you can just fly down to a planet and you can see like 5 or 6 people just chilling there, right? And shoot at other people and kill people, and then fly over to another planet, see 6 different people over there, and do it all like that and get in freighter battles and stuff. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do all that multiplayer, but that's kind of what it seemed like it's stepping towards, right? Okay, so it says, we will talk more about each component when we know we can be precise, and look forward to sharing more in the coming weeks. Beyond will be our most ambitious chapter so far, and something we've been working ridiculously hard on. We'll continue to support No Man's Sky in this way for the foreseeable future. So that's kind of crazy. So I wonder if Beyond is kind of like their final No Man's Sky update. Maybe, and then they're just going to continue to try to work on Beyond, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's the case, or if they're planning on just continuing up more updates, I don't know. But at some point, the question does arise of, like, I guess the only way Hello Games is making money right now is from people buying the base version of the game. That's the only way. And they're just continuing to sit there and update, support. So maybe the way they can make more money off of it is if they re-release the game for, like, the PS5 and whatever the next Xbox is, and have all those updates in there, packed into one, like, disc. That would be sick. Kind of like the, what No Man's Sky should have been when it was first released, but on the newer consoles, better graphics, and that would be very interesting if they were able to accomplish that in some kind of way. But either way, so this is, obviously quite interesting that they're going down this road of continuing to support the multiplayer. I wasn't really sure what they were going to do with the next update. It's kind of questionable, like, how are they going to go about doing it? But obviously, even though they talk about doing all this multiplayer stuff to the update, obviously, you guys know with these No Man's Sky updates, they update every aspect of the game, right? They really do. Like you're probably going to see some more variation updates. I hope to God you do see that. See, I think planet variation, biome variation, creature variation, animations, model size, types, all that kind of stuff is more important than having like a more advanced multiplayer at this point. I think that's more important to me personally. But having that big multiplayer type feeling to it is also important at the same time too. So, it is cool that they're going down this road, but I just hope that they really pay attention to that variation, really make the planets feel more interesting and worthy to continue to play the games. You can add all the multiplayer in the world, but if the planets still feel super repetitive and you don't have enough variation in there, it doesn't really matter anyways, right? So they've got to get that aspect down at some point, but I do think we're going to see some variation changes to it with Beyond, even though all they've really talked about is making it more of this like No Man's Sky online experience. But I do think you're going to see, like, better underwater creatures, better underwater stuff, better water in general. You might end up seeing waterfalls in the game. Not sure if that's going to be a possibility, but I was really, really hoping this next update would have been like No Man's Sky variation or something like that, you know, where it was just completely dedicated to adding better planet variation, plant rock variation, fixing the discoveries page, you know, making better, you know, waterfalls, rivers, you know, actually having ice in the game and lava and volcanoes and cool different shit like that. I thought that would have been really cool if they'd have made an actual variation update with huge megalodon underwater creatures and, you know, just being able to land on asteroids and different stuff like that. That's what I was really, really hoping for. It was like a full update dedicated to that. So, but it does seem like a lot of their time is going to be put into this No Man's Sky online mode, which it does need that as well because it's such a interactive, like the reason why you go to all these planets and you discover all this stuff is so you were the Christopher Columbus of outer space and the first person to ever do it in this universe, right? In that particular galaxy of the universe. And you were the first person to ever see that and discover that. That's the whole point of No Man's Sky. So if it doesn't have that fully interactive multiplayer experience, then it's kind of defeating the purpose in a sense, right? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they could come across a planet and see that you were the first one to discover it, but if you can't see that guy while flying around, it just doesn't have the same feeling to it, right? It just doesn't have the same aspect to it. But I think with this No Man's Sky Online, they're also going to try to combat and fix a lot of their issues with the, you know how they go in there and update and completely change the way the planets are and change everything about them, but then they let you keep your old saves and keep all the old planets that you discovered, even though some of those planets are not even there anymore because the variation and all that changes throughout the updates. I think they're probably going to try to fix that, probably going to try to come up with some sort of system to where either you can't go back to older saves once a new update comes out, or if you want to play on the online mode, you have to be with like a more up-to-date save. That would make way more sense if they did that, like all these other games do whenever, you know, they basically, like some of these other early access games that where they will have a lot of updates that'll totally change the game, so you can't really go back to older saves because the game is completely changed. Well, with No Man's Sky, you can still play off the saves that you had from day one in the game, even though the game is completely different, which doesn't make any sense at all. So they're going to have to figure out how to make the, like, almost like reset the universe in a sense to where no one's discovered any of the new planets with the new update and then just shoot everybody back into that universe. And then you have to have like a brand new save, start from scratch save, and then you go through that whole process again of discovering new planets, and it's more of a up-to-date kind of thing, right? Instead of having like all these planets that you discovered, you know, way back in 2016 when No Man's Sky first came out, but those planets aren't even there anymore. You can't even go to them anymore because they're totally gone because of the variation changes and everything about the game that has changed. They're not even there anymore at all. So it just makes more sense to do that. So I feel like they're going to do that with this No Man's Sky online mode. I really do. But we'll just see the potential. If I was to guesstimate, I would think it's going to be some sort of, like, you could hop down to a planet and see, like, you know, any random player on any planet if you're both on the same planet. Like, you could do that on any planet at any time, anywhere, right? But where it's going to change is when people actually start grouping up, right? So you have, like, you know, you get your friends together and try to see how many people you can get on one planet at one time. I would almost think they would make each individual planet have like a bit of a separate server aspect to it so that obviously you don't just completely explode the whole No Man's Sky online server or whatever. So I don't really know exactly how they're going to do all that, but if I was to guesstimate, and what I think is pretty good is like if you had somewhere around 100 player limit on one planet, right? That would be like perfect in my opinion. If you were able to get to that level with No Man's Sky, like 100 players, one planet, on any which planet you wanted to. It could be whatever, PvP on, where people can shoot other people if they want to. And then obviously you could have, you know, 100 people battling each other. Now space might be a little bit different. Don't know how they're going to do that exactly. But as far as players on the planet, whether you're in a plane in the atmosphere or a ship in the atmosphere, or you're actually, you know, on land, it should allow 100 people at least on an individual planet, which, like I said, that's not going to be very common for that to happen. That would probably never happen just randomly, but you have certain really special areas on planets in the universe that become like very community-driven areas, so a lot of people want to go to them, and where certain portals are and stuff like that, people want to go to that stuff as well. So, you know, you're going to have that spike of people in certain areas, but it's going to have some kind of limit and some kind of way, because that'd be crazy if you could have like 1,000 people on one planet, even though that wouldn't even be that crazy because the planets are actually quite massive. But, you know, 1,000 people would fit on a planet in this game really easily. Like, if you were all on land and you had 1,000 people spread out evenly on a planet, it'd probably take you a little while to even see somebody. Like, I'm not even joking around. That's just how big the planets are in No Man's Sky. But there's a lot here with the No Man's Sky Beyond. There's a lot of unknown stuff going here. But just the way they're talking about it and the way they're kind of portraying it makes it seem like it's going to be more of that full-blown. I mean, just by the way they talk about, you know, these changes are an answer to how we have seen people playing since the release of Next, right? You know how Next was kind of like, finally, here's our real multiplayer, but then it turned out to not really be to the extent that we were all expecting it to be and really being able to do all the things that we thought. So it seems like now with Beyond, that's sort of the, now we're finally going to try to give you that full, you know, No Man's Sky multiplayer experience. That's just what it seems like to me anyways. I mean, it's what it seems like they're doing with it. So I just hope they don't forget some of the more important aspects of the game that really need to be fixed currently with the whole discoveries page, and, you know, even being able to go back and look at your discoveries in like a full 3D picture image, and really being able to do all that properly, and being able to scan every little thing on the planet like you used to be, not just creatures, but being able to scan, you know, rocks and name rocks and all that kind of stuff. It'll be interesting to see, you know, just what they do with some of the general creature variation and sizes of creatures, and, you know, more planet variation, because we always know they change that stuff a little bit in every update. I haven't really seen them change it too massively. Visions was probably one that was somewhat dedicated just to that, but I hope they continue down that road of continuing to do that planet variation stuff, because that's what makes the game fun. Makes you want to keep coming back and playing it, because you go into these never-before-seen places and feel like you truly are the first person to ever see that, and maybe the only person to ever see that, you know? They really need more of that in the game at this current point, but the more updates and stuff they do with the game, the more people that's going to buy the game and support the game, and like I said, if they re-release this game on the new consoles, that'd be another way they could make a lot more money off of it, and not, like, you know, charge you for DLC or subscription or whatever, because they're smart enough to know if they try to go down that subscription road, or they try to go down that paid DLC road or microtransaction road, it's never really going to add up in the long run. Like, they may make a quick buck off of it, but in the long run, it's going to kill your community, because people don't really, like, other than the most hardcore of hardcore fans, they're the only people that's really going to pay for that kind of stuff, like in a long-term sense. So if you want to still be reaching that mass audience and still be, you know, really getting everybody the content that you want in the game, you've got to do it for free. You just have to. There's no other way to do it, and then it just keeps the community alive, keeps everybody going on it, keeps everybody happy, makes you not seem money greedy hungry. But at the same time, I do realize you guys got to live, right? But you did make a lot of money off the start of No Man's Sky, so it's not like you just don't have any money. I mean, obviously you made millions and millions off of just the sales of No Man's Sky, just from all the hype off of it. So obviously there's that, and then you've won back a lot of people after all these updates, so you've made more money that way. But it is interesting kind of going down that road of how No Man's Sky is going to make more money in the future with this game without, you know, going down the roads of all these other, you know, different game companies with the microtransactions and the paid DLC and all that. I don't know how they're going to do it exactly, but there's a couple different ways they can go about it, but we'll have to just wait and see in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and talk about No Man's Sky Beyond. Just first little video on it, nothing too crazy, right? Just wanted to come in here and check it out, kind of read some stuff off to you guys. I'm sure there's probably more secretive information out there that I haven't looked into yet. I'm sure it's out there, but we'll just have to wait and see, man. But I'm just praying to God that they really get in there and start putting the waterfalls and really cool floating islands with waterfalls. And I know they went in there and put rainbows that can happen on the Visions update, which is really cool. It's like they they know what they want to put into the game variation-wise. It's just they just haven't yet. It's crazy. It's like they're doing it slowly but surely. But it's just like I'm just waiting on the day to where I can hop down in a planet that's all water, complete ocean planet, and go down the water. And it's like just a full wonderland of underwater creatures and variation and plants and like enough stuff to do under the water that really becomes full-blown interesting. And there's some color on the planet after we got some rain going here. But I just can't wait until that day where I can go down the water and really see like a creature that is megalodon-sized and really gives you that creep-out factor and can just swallow you whole. And it's a full-blown, you know, procedurally generated creature. It's not like a pre-made creature like the anglerfish on the Abyss update. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like a full-blown, you know, actual... like it's procedurally generated like everything should be in this game. I'm ready for them to get more of their stuff procedurally generated like they said it was going to be at the beginning. Every rock, bird, stone, planet, universe, procedurally generated. Every single thing in the game is supposed to be procedurally generated. So I hope they figure that out and figure out ways to do that better. And I think it'll be really cool once they start doing that in the game. But and then more of these really cool visual effect planets that kind of go through the black and white. And they could do so much more with that as well. So I can't wait to see the future of that. But they're taking a lot more time with this No Man's Sky Online aspect. So, you know, it's going to be more of that bigger style update like Next was. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot here, man. I'm sure we're going to see a lot not only for the online, but the variation, probably a lot more on the base building aspect of stuff, probably more vehicles. Be really cool if they do some more stuff that you can do out in space, right? We've all talked about that previously. You know, being able to like land on asteroids, have possibly huge space whale creatures out in space that can swallow your whole ship. Really cool shit like that. So there's just so much to it, but I just want to come on and kind of give a little quick little video on No Man's Sky Beyond. We'll see how it all pans out there. But yeah, dudes, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later.